right, and we are live once again on the Spin Cycle. Andrew Southwick, R.C. Williams with you on this Thursday, the 13th of August. Just taking a look at what's going on in the news, breaking down some of those headlines, removing the narrative spin from the news stories you need to know, as you can see right above us. Thank you for checking us out, whether for 1 minute or for a couple of minutes. And you know what? Normally we do this at the end of the broadcast, but I'm gonna do it right now. RC, let us know. Let the people know where they can find us, where they can like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. Let's do that at the top of the show this time.
You got it, sir. So all things Watchman Action, you start at watchmanaction.org. All of our social medias are there. They're all pretty simply branded Watchman Action. This show also airs weeknights at 9:30 p.m. Eastern on the Watchman Action Network, airing 24/7 on Bet Cable Channel 40, and also streaming at watchmanaction.org and on YouTube and on Rumble. Now then, for Culture Crossroads and Andrew Southwick on YouTube, if you go to Culture Crossroads 316, you can like, share, and subscribe there. You'll find the Spin Cycle, Culture Crossroads, and Andrew's incredible monologues, which we encourage him strongly every day to do more of, and you should do the same. You can find all of that information there at Culture Crossroads 316.
All right. I want to kick off with some economy stuff because, you know, at the end of the day, I think that's really what we vote on. I mean, we immigration does matter. There's a lot of single issue voters, but especially now we're voting pocketbook, don't you think? I mean, we're looking around and we see, you know, all the prices are up. Our paychecks don't make it. Our wallets are squeezed, and we want the madness to stop. And you know, if we have to pay higher prices, we want that to result after a cycle of correction in lower prices. We want that to result in a stronger dollar, not a weaker dollar. Catherine Austin Fitts was on Tucker Carlson's program. Now, once again, what you think of Tucker Carlson, what I think of Tucker Carlson doesn't matter. But she is warning about that this economy is not only bad and getting worse, but it's planned that way. And so I want to bring that on the screen here. And let me get the right, there we go. Bring it on the screen. Take a listen to this, and we'll react here.
Are we experiencing inflation in the United States, do you believe?
Yes, we are experiencing inflation, and there is a reasonable chance that the inflation, at least the increase in household goods, is going to get much, much worse.
Why?
So it is because we've been going through a restructuring of the economy for many decades. This has been building for many decades. One, we start off with a model where we have a debt-based currency, and that debt basing forces huge expenses that you don't have to have. That's number one. But number two, we've run our fiscal economy in ways that I would describe as a financial coup d'etat. And as we've pulled resources out of the economy, we have consolidated ownership and control in a way that forces expenses, or it lowers the income for the general population and it raises their expenses. And this has been a intentional consolidation of ownership and control. And now you're seeing the results that result in people being squeezed in a variety of ways. So I'm describing a change in the financial model, this centralization of power and economic control. And it involves many different things throughout the economy. But the important thing to understand is it was a plan, it's intentional. And if you look at where we are, it's going to take many, many things to change it, because it comes with tremendous and explosive changes in technology, which can be used to create great prosperity, but can also be used to consolidate control in a way that benefit the few and destroy the many.
All right, RC, is Catherine Austin Fitts full of it? Does any of that ring true? What's going on?
It most certainly does, Andrew. And, you know, Catherine does a great job. Juliana and I have had the chance to spend time with her privately and discuss a lot of this. You know, Catherine discovered and has suffered greatly from basically calling out the federal government on keeping a second set of books. And with FASB 56, basically allowing them to do so. She simply says, if you were to match up the ledgers for what they're hiding on that second set of books, based on what's missing, we wouldn't have any we wouldn't have any debt. Like our debt would basically be zero because that's where the money went. But she also said that in the 90s, when she was second at HUD, I believe that she was told that the forces that prevail said the United States is pretty much done. We're going to suck all the resources out. And they did it over time, right? So there has been a suck on resources and money out of the country for decades. So she's spot on there. I do think it's interesting it's come to a head like this because the expectation wouldn't have necessarily been on the surface that you would have Republicans or conservatives in office to oversee this. But this goes back to something we've talked about a lot, Andrew, across all of our shows and everything else. And Juliana says this all the time. It's the two wings of the same bird, right? Or as the old saying goes, when the people require a hero, we will provide him. And you'll take your technocracy in a red dress because it's in a red dress and not a blue dress. I think a lot of that comes to the head, comes to a head here. But Catherine also points out that this fiscal policy, in essence, is like a crack-fueled casino. And the people who control the money have your money in their hand at a casino with a bag full of crack, and they're just playing roulette over and over and over again. So Catherine knows her stuff. And, when she talks like this, she does it in a way where she's actually able to point you to exactly what happened, why, and how it happened. And so I think people should be paying attention. And if you're watching this show, you're obviously ahead of the curve, but it's going to get rougher.
If our if our economy is planned like that, one of the theories I've had, that thesis that I've had that we've talked about on the Sunday show on Culture Crossroads, is World War III is already upon us right now. It's not being fought necessarily in the battlefields, but it's being fought economically and through population and behavioral manipulation. And it's concentrated on the West, and particularly on the middle class in the West. So the ones who are getting, that's why we have a K-shaped economy, for example. The guys, those who can invest in the stocks and they have holdings, the economy is actually working quite well for them. It's not working for those of us on that bottom leg of the K, or maybe it's going this way, on that bottom leg of the K, where it doesn't matter how hard we work or how many jobs we have, our dollar keeps getting devalued. Wages can go up, but those dollars are worth less, so they afford less. And at the same time, prices go up at the same, while that's happening, and the hole gets deeper and deeper. But if this is planned, that means that we would be the targets of this, and that the ones they want to expand the resources out of would be us, you and me, middle class. Because as long as there's a middle class, you can't truly have an us and them. You can't truly have rulers and subjects, right? And if that's really the economy that they want to design, they have to get us out of the way. Is that, again, is that foil hat conspiracy? Just put me in an M. Night Shyamalan movie and leave me alone? Or, is that something that maybe some of these globalists and technocrats may have designs to accomplish?
Tighten up your tinfoil hat, buddy. No, you're there. What's interesting to me is what you said about stock market. So I think people need to become very familiar with the term on paper. Like somebody says, oh my God, my tech startup went public. I'm a multi-millionaire on paper. That on paper part's really important because there's a 6 months lockup on that stock before you can sell it, and anything can happen in 6 months. A lot of the folks who are quote unquote doing well, Andrew, because of the markets, if you fall for the illusion that you're out of the mix and you're going to be okay, you have a very nasty surprise coming, because somewhere between 10 and 30 businesses basically manipulate the markets and keep them going and propped up because they just basically pass around paper and deals to each other in a circular motion, also known as something a bit more crude, which I won't mention on the show. That said, it is certainly designed to squeeze us. And those who are doing a little bit better and think everything is okay, just wait. They're coming for you too, because you can't be there either, right? Because then it still wouldn't work, because you're just a rung above, because maybe your 401k is invested or whatever. You're just a rung above, right? And so they're going to get to you eventually. And the way they're going to do it is now they have all your wealth concentrated in one place, and all they have to do is push a button, game over, right? The real play is ownership. You got to own something, right? If you don't own something, then you're in trouble here, right? And that's what these guys are doing. Anytime that the middle class is squeezed, it becomes an asset grab for what's out there, because people are willing to sell at fire sale prices, right? You have a lot of people who are retiring right now who may own a small business who are selling to private equity. Perfect case in point. Who concentrates all the power on the services? Private equity, right? You have this game played over and over and over again. And they're like, listen, something Robert Kiyosaki used to say, if inflation goes up, I just buy more stuff with devalued dollars. That's all private equity is doing right now. So it is not a conspiracy, my friend. It's real, and the squeeze is gonna get tighter.
And she talked about a debt-based economy. And again, this is
Yeah.
something we've mentioned before. And actually, we talked about this before anybody else dared mention it, because I remember, and you do too, RC, when DoorDash started allowing you to finance your meal from Chipotle, that we realized, oh, we're actually using debt as the currency. That is
Game over.
And the own nothing and like it, which is the slow elimination of physical media. Everything goes to digital and streaming. Your car, you no longer need a key in the ignition. You push a button, et cetera, et cetera. So somebody else can actually, from somewhere, stop your car from starting, or they can program it to do so if they don't like what you're doing in it. And we know those things are happening. All the low jacks, all the flock cameras, all this, that, and the other. Own nothing and like it. Debt-based economy, you are an indentured servant no matter which way you turn, is owning something. And I would wonder too, probably if property ownership is, a hallmark of our freedom, I wonder if that's one of the reasons why they're cool with keeping the home housing prices inflated, because it boxes out new homeowners. It forces them into a permanent rent type of situation and plays right into their hands. But if ownership is the key, and ownership is being the goal, and the goalposts of ownership are being moved out of the way, how do we stop this? DC is probably gone. The feds are probably gone unless we flush them all and bring in and have brand new guards for our future security. It doesn't change. They've already sold us out, us being America, to technocrats and foreign interests and globalists and everything else. How do we stop this? Because clearly, I mean, and for the most part, they're just doing it to us. We're not voting on any of this policy. They're just doing it.
So, Andrew, something that I did not bring up that I should, that's important, because this news was floated today, is that the White House is considering a tax cut on capital gains. We haven't had a tax cut on capital gains in over 20 years. This is a double-edged sword. Well, it's a triple-edged sword, actually. One, they're hoping that it would play well leading up to the midterms, because usually tax breaks do that. But you have this double-edged sword where if you cut the tax rate on capital gains, you potentially drive the economy, because those who have resources are more inclined. If they have businesses, they're more inclined to hire more people, pay higher wages, because they're paying less in taxes. On the flip side, does that help the people who already have more to get more at a better price? And those who have not, do you end up in a bad situation? And again, capitalist here, practical capitalist, not crony capitalist. We're in kind of a weird place. So how do we get out of it? Well, this comes back to the basic question: how much are you willing to tolerate? We have become so conditioned and so lazy that even if people have the means to buy a plot of land where they can put the resources that they need to live on it, they're like, it's too much work. That's what somebody else is for. That's what the supply chain is for. We kind of just get into this cycle, Andrew, where you have to take the concrete steps to get yourself out of it. But if you're not even willing to do that, then it doesn't really matter. And simply then the answer is you're not going to get out of it, or it's going to crash. And then it's going to be Mad Max for a while and a scramble to try to figure out what to do next until some new stabilized order it comes to pass. And if you're not involved in the process, guess what that's going to be? You're going to get to the feudal lord level pretty quickly here if you're not careful. But I certainly agree with you. I think DC is largely toast, and they're just doing whatever they want. And the voting on these things is an absolute illusion at this point, and that's kind of scary. And it may sound kind of depressing, but look, honestly, if you're watching this, it does start with you. And Catherine Austin Fitts has said the same thing.
Well, speaking of behavioral modification and scams and everything else, recently Jeffrey Tucker was talking with Jessica Rose, Dr. Jessica Rose, who in fact, she was on Culture Crossroads not a few weeks ago discussing very similar topics. And Jeffrey Tucker has an interesting revelation here about what the FDA, or what either a representative or an insider from the FDA told him about why social distancing, why masking, why all the isolation, especially in the early days of the pandemic, why all that was instituted in the first place. And spoiler alert, it had nothing to do with your health. Check this out.
We all have what we consider to be the most shocking feature of the COVID response. But for me, I still can't get over the fact that I was told by top FDA, NIH officials that a major reason for social distancing, lockdowns, masking, plexiglass, stay-at-home orders, and everything else was to delay the onset of natural immunity, to delay rising seroprevalence levels, to delay endemicity until after the shots were online. So it wasn't just that all these tactics, these sort of social engineering tactics, were designed to, keep us well. No, it was exactly the opposite. It was to keep us from gaining a natural capacity to resist the virus, so that they could wait until the injection came along, so the injection could be deployed and experimented upon us, and thereby get all the credit for having solved the issue. And that sounds like a wild conspiracy theory, but that's what they meant by flatten the curve. Flatten the curve meant delay prolong the pain, delay the solution. And it sounds crazy until you hear it from people who were there on the ground, in the agencies, in the companies, watching all this unfold. And multiple sources have confirmed this without a shadow of doubt in their mind, that was the real purpose of the school closures, the business shutdowns, the stay-at-home orders, the travel restrictions, everything, to delay the point at which we would have essentially solved the problem through natural exposure.
So, translation, Jeffrey Tucker here is saying that he got word from FDA, NIH insiders that the reason we were locked up, the reason we were masked up, the reason we closed the schools was so that we wouldn't get the natural immunity from this flu, and the emergency could continue on, so that the injection could be released. Obviously, you can extrapolate from there. There's a ton of money involved in there, and we had already purchased it. Moderna had never successfully brought a product to market until then. Now, Moderna's mRNA flu shot just got approved for. Interestingly, it was approved for prevention of the flu this year, but it was not approved for the prevention of person-to-person spread. I don't even know how that works. If they're admitting with that non-approval that we think it could still allow person-to-person spread, but it prevents you from getting it, how does it spread to other people unless you can get it? You know what I mean? It's just it is dizzying to try to make sense of this stuff. But nonetheless, we were apparently locked up, according to Jeffrey Tucker and his reporting, and he's not a dumb man, that we were locked up in order to prop up the injection so the injection could take credit for our own God-given natural immunity.
Wow. I hate to be an I told you so, and there's so many people that can say that right now, but it's so true. It's like anytime that you have that level of insanity and you look just under the hood to see who's running it and to see who's running them, this conclusion makes complete and logical sense. Of course, you want something that you've paid for and everybody's got their hand in the till to look like it's your savior, because if not, then it upsets the apple cart. So of course, you put all these things up. And there's also that psychological component of it, right? It's a psyop. Andrew, separators and distance between people. We don't do well in those environments. Masking up, you can't see people's emotions. And then you push the fear and the fear and the fear, and then you start to separate people out, right? And then you do behavioral modification based on age and gender and location. And if you go back now and you look at it, you will see all of those things were happening. depending on who they were trying to scare, who they were trying to bring to heal, to conform, so that they could get this done. Understand clearly, whether it is the person you send to represent you at any office of any level or anything like that, these people don't care about you. Just being honest, they don't care about you, they care about them. And they care about their handlers, right? And they will do, under circumstance, whatever it takes and whatever they're told for the greater good. And
wanna
you
stop
just
you
see
there.
that extrapolated again.
I want to stop you there because here is proof of that. CDC, former CDC Director Robert Redfield, who's been all over the place, who once testified that when he was holding up a paper mask, this here mask would protect you more than the injection, if you remember that from back in the day. He is now on record as saying, and let me bring this up. I want to make sure, because I don't want to screw it up. Let me back out of this for a second. CDC Director Robert Redfield just publicly said that vaccinating pregnant women for COVID was a massive, quote, mistake. This is from Eric Doherty on X. Everybody was lied to. These are crimes against America. Quote, it was a mistake to vaccinate pregnant women, 827 pregnancies in individuals that received the vaccine, 115 miscarriages or spontaneous abortions. Now here is, you see here on the screen here, you see Dr. Fauci's text. I asked a bit around a bit more. Another issue came up you need to be aware of. People have significant cytokine storm, so they already knew that this turned a cytokine storm, as I understand it, layman's terms, probably oversimplified, but your immune system is turning on itself, turning on you. So then, and that's why, the COVID pneumonia led to all these other issues. And so they already had that. They already knew that was happening. And he said, particularly after the second dose. And then this, he says, could also be associated with miscarriage in the first trimester. Dr. Walensky, then head of CDC, definitely a good point, especially after dose 2. But listen to this audio. Here is the Fauci saying something, I guess, a little bit different.
Later, publicly.
Thus far, with thousands of women who are pregnant, having gotten the vaccine following the EUA, there have been no red flags of anything that anyone would be worried about. There are severe adverse outcomes for mother and baby during COVID-19 infection. Therefore, it is extremely important for pregnant women and women planning to get pregnant to get vaccinated.
This is the biggest public health scandal that we've ever seen in America. This is astonishing. And of course, there are now studies that are being legitimized that suggest that, in fact, these shots actually contributed significantly to miscarriages of people who got the shot and while pregnant.
Unbelievable. I'm going to leave this graphic up on the screen so you can see it. But you were talking about how they don't care about you. They're in it for themselves. We've read the Fauci diaries. We know he was in it for himself, and he loved the fame and hobnobbing, and he's so important nobody cards him or anything like that. He's finally sitting at the cool kids table. He's got his face on pillows everywhere. Meanwhile, of course, we know that he's torturing beagles and locking them up with sand fleas and letting sand fleas eat beagles all the time. He is extracting the scalps from aborted babies and sewing them onto the backs of rats and mice. Now he is seeing that not only does this thing turn your immune system against you and make your immune system attack your organs, but it also causes miscarriages. And then goes on TV and says it's fine, everybody should do it. The level of evil, the level of it almost seems sociopathic. I mean, how? But of course, here's the deal. Like we said with the hearings, I really hope the states can put together a case, because he does need to be prosecuted. We need more that need to be prosecuted, because this, as we've said before, they're going to keep doing this if people don't go to jail. At the same time, you have the Trump administration, who you would have thought would have learned their lesson from the first time around, installing Dr. Erica Schwartz as the new head of CDC. She led Operation Warp Speed to get the injections on the first place and was chiefly involved in the persecution of military members who did not want to take the injection. At the same time, the FDA approves Moderna's mRNA flu shot. At the same time, you have Marty McCary, and this is if you this Sunday's Culture Crossroads, I have an interview with virologist Dr. Jennifer Smith. We talk a little bit about this. You should check it out. I'll post the interview. Hopefully, it'll stay up online. I don't know how long it will, but Vinay Prasad, stepped down from his role. This is all at the same time that these drugs are coming up for approval. These mRNA things are coming up for approval, and we're not saying correlation is causation, or this equals that. However, the timing sure is interesting that all of this happens at the same time, which tells you that I don't know there's a lot of an appetite from the Trump administration to really prosecute any of these people. We already know that President Trump said he's going to respect Biden's pardon, even though he made fun of the auto pen. It's so upside down and backwards, but it tells you that this is not just industry capture. We have government capture.
Andrew, wouldn't it be amazing if the ecclesia was standing up and active in the public square? Wouldn't it be amazing? Because I just think for a moment, how much of this stuff would not be tolerated if the church was in its rightful place? The only thing that I can think of as I hear this and I hear the recordings is us being under judgment, right, as a people for allowing this and allowing for it to happen and not even positioning things for justice to be rendered, right? Because vengeance, and that's not us, right? That's not filed for us. And there's a reason for that. But not even making an effort to do these things, because here's what happens. Walensky, no big deal. Fauci, maybe something happens to him, maybe not. Maybe he kills over first, who knows? But everybody else. So the best we could do is respect the pardon. Walensky's fine. Everybody else is fine. And let's put one of the cheerleaders for Safe and Effective in as CDC director. Do you understand yet what George Carlin used to say? It's a club and you ain't in it.
Yeah.
The sooner you understand that, the sooner something gets fixed.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. All right, so we're gonna leave this here. We're just about up on time. We really appreciate all of you who've been checking out the show on the Culture Crossroads YouTube at Culture Crossroads 316 or Watchman Brief. We appreciate that. If you haven't liked or liked the video, obviously you can leave comments as well. You like it, you hate it, whatever. We do, be civil. We're trying to be respectful, even if we disagree. But but also subscribe to the pages wherever you're watching. If you haven't yet, we really appreciate that on our channels. We'll be back tomorrow. We got more, but again, this is an unfolding saga that we're stopping short of giving you a final analysis on this, because this is going to keep dripping out, and we have to make sure that then there's a couple of things. I think part of this is distraction from what's going on in Iran, from what's going on with the economy. Part of it is theater to make the GOP look tough. Hey, they're going after what we wanted them to go after now, and this is right before the midterms. You have to understand there's political theater going on with this too, even as reprehensible as these revelations are, because they've been sitting on them. There's a reason they sat on them this long until now. There is not an accidental. There is just no such thing as an accidental leak. I'm sorry, there's not. So at the same time, these concerns and these actions, what we're seeing here, are real. They are evil. They hurt people. I believe they cost the lives of thousands, if not millions, of people. And but we, at least on this program, we just want to bring you the truth. So right now, here's what we have as of right now, and we're going to keep following this in future episodes. So again, we appreciate you sticking with us. For R.C. Williams, I'm Andrew Southwick. Remember, check us out, Culture Crossroads 316, Watchman Action, anywhere on the socials, and Culture Crossroads, 5 p.m. Central Time on the Beck News Network, as well as the Epic Network and on the Watchman Action Network there, where you can also find Watchman Brief and episodes of the Spin Cycle, 9:30 p.m. weeknights. Is that right?
9:30 Eastern on weeknights.
9:30 Eastern on the Watchmen Action Network as well. So check all that out, and we will see you again tomorrow. Thanks for being with us. We really appreciate it.